How do you identify? Is this an important label for you?
It's a very interesting question, and I've had difficulty with that. I identify as non-binary. I've never felt like I fit into the binary thing. There's a story I tell a lot to people, and it's absolutely true, and it's one of the strongest memories of my childhood. I was 6 years old. I was in grade 1, and I remember we were writing something about boys and girls and his and hers, and I refused to use gender labels, and I was using they, them, which, back then, we're talking about 1970, I don't know, early 70s. It wasn't something that was certainly a part of my life. I had no idea what queer people were. And I remember getting into trouble for it at school. And I told Mum about it when I got home. She got very upset and talked to the teacher, and of course nothing came of it. And I eventually got brainwashed into just using, what everybody else used, because I didn't see that there was any option. And that's been there since I was 6 years old. And, I never realised what a big impact that 6-year-old kid would have on this 50-something-year-old person. It's a huge thing. And as far as labels, or pronouns, I should say, there really isn't anything in the English language that I can find that identifies me the way I feel I should be identified. There's they, them, which is the closest thing, which doesn't sound right to me. I know it's used in a singular term like that, but it doesn't feel quite, it doesn't fit properly. Her, she, her doesn't fit at all. It never has, although I've worn those labels for most of my life. It is a big part of me, and I know a lot of people don't like labels, but it helps me to see who I am and see how I fit into the queer world, into the world in general.
When and how did you realise that you were LGBTIQA+? How has your cultural background impacted your experience?
I realised I was queer when I was 42, so 14 odd years ago, because of a whole lot of circumstances. I didn't actually come out until I was 51. I have a disability, and that I was housebound and not able to get out in the community anyway, even if I'd wanted to. So I sat on it for a long time, didn't tell anyone, really didn't have contact with a lot of people at that point. And then my life changed, and I found a doctor who actually gave a damn and treated me, and I'm actually able to get out and about these days. So my life changed at 50, 51. I got out into the community, and it's just a revelation that it hit me out of the blue when I was 42. I was actually standing in the hallway at home, and just all of a sudden it just this blinding flash, an epiphany, if you like, and that changed me in so many ways. And sitting on it for nearly 10 years was agonising. But I felt I couldn't do anything about it, so I didn't tell anyone about it. When I could actually get out and about, it took me probably 12 months to come out. I started a group a local group in the southeast Melbourne suburbs, outer southeast Melbourne suburbs. And because I figured that people like me were out here and I wanted to connect with the community. At that point, I had no idea what I was letting myself in for. And that group's still running today, 4 years later. As far as my cultural upbringing and everything, I suppose it does. I don't think it's really impacted me a great deal as a queer person. My dad's Irish. My mum is third or fourth generation Australian, from English and Scottish and Irish stock. My mum passed away 20 odd years ago, so she never saw this, which, is just brings a tear to my eye. It always does, because she would have just, I was brought up to believe that everybody is equal, and that's my core belief. Everyone is equal. We're all the same, even though we're different. We're all human beings, and I must admit that coming out to family and friends, I haven't had not one negative response. Everybody has been so accepting, and I feel that I'm blessed for that reason. And I know most queer people don't have it like that. There's always someone who doesn't understand, who thinks it's a phase. No, it's not a phase. And and I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for the family and the friends that support me.
What is your connection to this area, and when did it start?
I moved into Narre Warren when it was still the city of Berwick, and back in 1990, October of 1990. So I've been in the area 31 years. I've always been fairly active in the community. Disabilities stopped me quite a lot of the time, but I've always tried to do something. I found the local family history group many years ago in what used to be the Narre Warren Library. Is now the Bunjil Place Library, moved location, and it's magnificent. So I'm still involved with the local family history group. They've been going strong for 30 odd years, and volunteering and researching, and I suppose one of the things that hits me about family history research, genealogy research, is that we're not represented. The queer community aren't represented at all. It's all binary. And, I don't know how to change that, but I think it will eventually. It will have to just keep up with the times. So 31 years, and it's a bit too long in this one house. Hopefully moving soon with my beautiful partner.
What do you like about living, working, studying, or visiting this area as an LGBTIQA plus or ally?
That's an interesting question. I don't know. I think I've lived in the area so long that I can't see the forest for the trees. It's a beautiful area, and honestly, the trees are one of the things I love in Casey. And I come from a gardening background, so that's just natural, I suppose. It's a beautiful, spacious sort of area. There's lots of room, there's lots of parks. It's just a nice area to live.
What do you not like about living, working, studying, visiting this area as an LGBTIQA plus or ally?
So, as a queer person, Casey, I don't know, we don't seem to have most people don't have any idea that there are actually queer people living here. We seem to be seen as just non-existent. And maybe we blend in, maybe people just walk past us and don't notice. I don't know. And, you know, it's not always the way someone looks, obviously. We have had a couple of experiences of homophobia in the area. It's usually really obvious. Like, for example, walking into a shop, ordering a pizza and being told, no, we're closed. And you walk out, someone else walks in, orders a pizza, gets their pizza and walks out. So, you know, things like that, just general things. I don't really honestly feel safe enough just to go for a walk. I suppose, you know, a butch, you know, non-binary person is going to be more obvious. Maybe I'm wrong about that. You know, girly girl's not going to get noticed as much. Sorry for all the femmes out there. But, you know, it's still out there, and you never know. You know, you can't look at someone and say they're homophobic and, you know, they're going to do something about it. Most people are accepting. We were talking about this on the weekend at a meeting, and the way the views have changed just over the last couple of years. You know, people will say to me something about my husband, and I'll say no, you know, my partner, and she, not he. And usually people are apologetic, and, you know, and they accept it. They don't, you know, oh, well, I'm not talking to you again because you're, you know, you're queer. You know, there's acceptance there. It's just the odd person, like in anything, that spoils it for everyone. But living in Casey, usually it's not an issue. You know, it's the fact we don't have any representation at the moment. Well, obviously this project is changing that to include us in the queer archives, this outer southeast Melbourne area. But because there are lots and lots of us out here, is a great thing. And you know, the more we do, the more visible we are, the better. And, you know, we're working towards that goal, and yeah, we'll get there one day.
What do you think are the most important issues facing LGBTIQA+ and their allies today?
Okay. I suppose the biggest issues are just recognition and visibility. Most people don't seem to think they know anyone who's queer, and pretty much always they're wrong. We don't always stick out like a sore thumb. You can't always pick us in a crowd. You know, we're human beings like everybody else. So, you know, we're just there. We're everywhere. There's no, you know, there's no boundaries to where we can live, and which is a good thing. So I suppose the biggest issues, you know, visibility and being accepted as just part of the community, being able to, you know, go out for a walk and not feel threatened. You know, personally, I haven't had, a tiny bit of you know, an unpleasant event, but it wasn't physical, and you know, I walked away. But I know that doesn't happen to everybody. I know there's violence out there, and, you know, the trans community, for example, you know, I can't imagine. I can't imagine what they go through, and we should be all accepting of everyone. I don't care who people are. You know, if you're a good person, you know, I'll take you in and you know, and do whatever I can. I think it's just about making us look like we're the person next door. And, you know, my neighbours probably don't know that we're queer. We're just two women living together. Maybe they do. I don't know. you know, is that such a bad thing? No, I don't think so. We're just, you know, I lived in this house for most of my life as a straight woman who, you know, who lived with a husband. I didn't know I was queer back then. And, you know, I'm no different today, other than I know who I am now. Yeah, but I think visibility, just making us not seem like the pariahs or the, you know, all the stereotypes that people have of queer people. You know, that we're people. We're just human beings.
What message, if any, would you like to give to others?
What message would I like to give others? It's okay to be yourself. I was brought up, I was lucky. I was very lucky. I was brought up in a family that accepted me for who I was. And, you know, I've been me for that whole time, even though I didn't realise I was queer for 42 years. You know, coming out was a revelation, and I was accepted. And you know, my family sees me as the same person I was the day before, you know, all those years before. Just you can be yourself and you can be accepted, and it may not be by your family. It maybe your family just don't get it, and unfortunately that happens, and it makes me so sad. But there are people out there that, you know, you can be accepted by us. There's lots of us out there, lots and lots of us, and you know, it's you can't live your life for other people. In the end, you have to be you. So, you know, whether you're 20 or 60 or 70 or whatever age, it doesn't matter. If that's who you are, be who you are. Just be you.